On this episode of the Whiskey Tornado, we review Wild Turkey Father and Son's 13-year-old bourbon. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Whiskey Tornado. I'm your host, Lance. I am super excited for this review today. Not only are we doing a review, we are going to do a blind Wild Turkey battle. Today, we've got Father and Son's 13-year-old bourbon from Wild Turkey for you guys. Huge shout out to Ed Bell, one of our Patreon members, who sent me a very healthy sample of this. This is probably a bottle I would have never been able to find or get my hands on. So super excited to taste it, to review it. And since it is such a hard bottle to find, we're going to taste it against 3 other Wild Turkey offerings. And I'll let you know which one I prefer in a blind Wild Turkey taste-off. For those of you new to the Whiskey Tornado, let me quickly explain our scoring system. We have 7 categories. I rate 0 to 1.5 being average. 2 of those categories are handicapped. Those categories are appearance and availability. Then we go into the nose, palate, finish, body, and value. Any score of 3 or better makes that bourbon bar worthy, meaning it's safe to buy. You're going to love it. Any score of 4 or better means do anything you can to find it and put some away just in case you run out of the bourbon you love. All right, guys, with all that being said, let's get into the appearance of Wild Turkey Father and Son's 13-year-old bourbon. I'm not going to have any fancy B-roll for you guys today because all I have is this sample bottle that Ed sent me. But you guys can look up the pictures. I'll flash a picture up on the screen. The appearance is pretty nice. It looks like the Wild Turkey rare breed bottles, and I think these are liter bottles. I love that it screams premium. We're going to give the appearance a 0.7. Moving on to availability, as I stated before, I don't think I would have ever got my hands on a bottle of this. This was a travel retail outlet offering, and with COVID happening last year, they didn't even get to travel retail outlets. In fact, I think they were sold to a European distributor from what I can tell. And then that European distributor sold a lot of these to Must Have Malts, which is an online store. And that's how a lot of people got their hands on these. So the availability is pretty rare, pretty hard to find, definitely not available in the United States. The availability is a 0.1. All right, let's get on to the nose on this. Oh, the nose is really, really nice. The first note I got was a big, sweet note of honey. And then all around that is this like beautiful kind of sweet tobacco note. A lot of like medicinal cherry type notes in this. And those medicinal cherry notes, I get a lot in the Wild Turkey 17-year bottled and bond. And on the nose, I'm getting that a lot on this. Cherry, vanilla, even some clove on there. And I said this in the 17-year bottled and bond review, but when I get that like cherry, medicinal cherry and clove notes, I think that's coming from the barrel char, those extra years in the barrel. And it's almost like a smoky notes in Scotch become like a medicinal Band-Aid type note. This isn't Band-Aid type note, but it is medicinal cherry. But it's really nice nose. I could sit here and nose this all day long. The proof on this, it's an 86 proof bourbon, so it's pretty low proof, and I don't get that on the nose. This smells pretty rich, really complex. I could nose this all day. We're going to give the nose a 0.8. Okay, moving on to the palate. Cheers, everybody. Really nice cherry note, like huge cherry note. This is delicate, and I think it's because of that like 86 proof, but this is coming off as delicate. Let me take another sip there. Wow, that's really, really nice. Medicinal cherry, but not as medicinal as a 17-year bottled and bond. There's some clove notes in there. That sweet tobacco runs through it, which I absolutely love. And I mean, you have to go searching, but there is a little bit of nuttiness. I get nuttiness in wild turkey. This is just like a thread of nuttiness. Boy, I wouldn't say this is thin. I would say it's delicate, if that makes sense. Oh, man. That is really beautiful. I am surprised at the body on this for an 86 proof. The first couple sips I had of it, I wasn't so sure, but the more I drink it, the more I'm really, really enjoying it. It's really nice. Again, very delicate, medicinal cherry, but not over medicinal. It's just really nice. Clove, sweet tobacco, and a little thread of nuttiness. I thought on the first sip, I was going to rate the Palate average. I thought I was going to rate it a 0.5. But I actually think that this is better than that. I think it's better than average. I think I'm going to give the Palate. This one's really tough for me. Let me take one more sip here. Wow, that is nice. For such a low proof, it's probably the best low proof bourbon I've had. At that proof, at that 86 proof, I'm going to give the Palate a 0.7 because I'm really enjoying what's there. Now, I will put an asterisk on this and tell you that if you do not like medicinal cherry notes, you're not going to like this bourbon. And if you're looking for higher proof, super dense bourbons, you're not going to like this. But if you can appreciate the delicateness of it and how much flavor is packed in at 86 proof, boy, that's really, really nice. It's a piece of art, really, that they're able to do that. We're going to give it a 0.7. I'm sorry, a 0.7 on the Palate. Okay, moving on to the finish. Again, it finishes with that medicinal cherry, a little bit of honey sweetness, and then just a little bit of jalapeno spice on the back end. It's not super long. It's a medium finish. I think the finish, I'm still tasting it. Let's see here. There goes a hug. Actually, that finish is really good too. Boy, I was quick to judge this when I had that first sip. And the more I'm like taking my time with it, the more I'm enjoying it, and the more this bourbon is kind of surprising me. That first sip, I was like, yeah, this isn't going to be that good. The more I drink it, the more I like it. That's why it's so important to just sit down with a bourbon, take your time, enjoy it, explore it. Don't rush through it. I think sometimes that's why doing blinds and tasting bourbons back to back can really hinder how good a bourbon is. Like I'm going to do a blind here in a little bit with this, and I don't think it's going to do as good as what I'm getting ready to rate it. The finish at first I didn't think was great, but it's medium to kind of long. So I'm going to give the finish a 0.7. Okay, moving on to the body. This is 13 years and 86 proof, so it is lower proof. For those of you that have been into bourbon longer and like those higher proof bourbons, you're probably going to think this is thin. I don't know if I'd say thin or delicate. The flavors really just like swell up in your mouth, really nice. That part I absolutely love, but it does feel a little thin. But again, the newer you are to bourbon, I think the more you'll like this body. If you're into higher proof bourbons, you're not going to like this body as much, but it is pretty impressive what they could do at 86 proof. All that being said, I'm still going to give the body a little less than average. We're going to give it a 0.4. All right, guys, moving on to value. We're talking about a liter of 13-year-old wild turkey. MSRP is $79, but you will be very lucky to find this bottle at $79. Secondary prices are $450 or more. So fear of missing out is really skyrocketing the price of this bottle. However, anytime I rate value on a bottle, I try to rate it on MSRP. So if we're talking about a liter of 13-year-old Wild Turkey, that would be good. The 86 proof kind of hurts it a little bit, especially when you've got, Russell's 10-year out there for $30, $35. So I'm just going to give the value 0.5. I'm going to just say it's average, but again, it's probably worse than that, to be honest, because you're probably never going to find it. And if you do, you're going to pay $200, $300, $400. And my guess is when I taste this blind against Wild Turkey 17-year bottled in bond, I'm going to like that more. And you can get that bottle on secondary for $250. So, and I'm thinking I would prefer that, but who knows? We're going to find out in a little bit. So that brings the total score of the Wild Turkey Father and Sons 13-year to a 3.5, making it bar worthy right in the middle. I think it is. I think the newer you are to bourbon, the more you might like this because it's not going to fight you. However, if you do not like medicinal cherry notes, you are not going to like this bourbon, as the same goes with 17-year Wild Turkey bottled in bond. But I'm really interested to see where this stacks up. All right, guys, let's get into the blind tasting. So like I said, we've got Wild Turkey Father and Sons 13-year-old, which is 86 proof. Somewhere in this flight, I've also got WB Saffell, which is 107 proof. We've got a Russell's private store pick, which is 110 proof, I believe. And then we've got Wild Turkey 17-year bottled in bond, which is, of course, 100 proof. So I will tell you before we get started, the WB Saffell, the Wild Turkey Father and Sons, and the 17-year bottled in bond all have pretty distinct cherry notes to me. So I'm really interested to see which one stands out. And I'm guessing that the Russell's is going to stand out in this and be the outlier. So we'll see. I'm going to try to give you guys my objective opinion, which one I like more. And again, I do think in a lot of cases, sitting down with a bourbon and just really exploring it is the way to go. And I think that Father and Son is definitely one of those bourbons. I don't know that it's going to stand up well in a blind because of the lower proof, but we're going to find out. So I'm going to try to taste these as quickly as possible for you guys. This is glass A. I have a marked on the bottom. My wife has mixed them up. Oh, man. A is gorgeous. I'll put these in post what they are, but that is just like caramel, peanuts, just the most beautifully balanced blended bourbon. So much sweetness, little bit of citrusy spice, but I mean, just so well-rounded. I'm pretty sure I know what A is. I think that's the Russell's store pick from A1. It's gorgeous. I didn't really get any cherry notes there. It's just more caramel, honey, a little bit of nuttiness, some citrus spice, but just, God, is that a gorgeous bourbon, man? That is really nice. All right, we're going to B here. Boy, B's really nice too. B has a lot of good body, viscosity to it. I think that has a little bit of those cherry notes I referred to, but not overly medicinal. That was more towards like a regular cherry, not super medicinal. B is really nice. Going to C here. C is where that heavy cherry comes out, heavy medicinal cherry. Some of those clove notes. It's a little bit more of leaning towards sour note on C. Almost like overly ripe apples or something. So, I mean, still really nice, beautiful bourbon. But I think I like A and B better than C. Okay, moving on to D here. Oh, good Lord. Ooh, mama. That, as I like to say, will make your toes curl. D's fantastic. Gosh, man, that's good. That is just, the medicinal cherry's there, and I don't know how to put into words just the enveloping viscosity of it. the mouthfeel, and it doesn't even feel the highest proof of these four. It's just really, really well balanced and rounded. Goodness. For me, I think that D is the 17-year bottled in bond because I think I can taste the age on there. It's just so well done. There for 17 years, if that's the 17-year bottled in bond, for 17 years, there is not a hint of astringency on that. No over oaked. I mean, that's a piece of art. D is a piece of art. And again, if you don't like medicinal cherry, some of you guys are not going to like this bourbon. But that's a piece of art. A and D are probably my favorite, but we're going to go back through in reverse order here. Man, there is some amazing sweet tobacco notes on that that I got in the 13-year Father and Sons, but I think that's the 17-year bottle and bond, which is just gorgeous, really gorgeous. Now, C is almost invisible coming off the heels of D. So, I mean, same kind of flavor profile, but almost invisible. It's really hard to pick up the notes coming off of D. I would bet C is the 13-year Father and Son. It just doesn't stand out as much when paired up against these other three. All right, moving on to B. Now, B, coming off the heels of C, is full of nuttiness now that I wasn't picking up before. I think the first time through had a little bit of medicinal cherry, maybe some nuttiness, but now the nuttiness on B really stands out. And it's nice. It's just, it's not, I don't know. It's not, it's really nice, but it's just weird how those flavors changed coming off of C. All right, moving on to A. A is so good. Oh my Lord. Man, the caramel on that, the little bit of nuttiness, a little bit of like peanut brittle, but not too overly peanut shell. Oh man, the viscosity, the weight of it. A is so good. I really like it. Okay, I think definitely A and D are in the lead for me, and I just got to figure out which one of these two I want to put last. Now it's coming off a little better. Still kind of light. Yeah, for my palate, I think I like B a little bit better. I think I like D the least. Now, D had some spice on, or C, I'm sorry. C I'm going to put in last. C had a little bit more spice there that I wasn't ready for. I'm going to taste D one more time. The sweet tobacco and leather notes on D are what put it ahead of the rest of these. It's so good. Anytime I can find, I don't know what it is. I don't smoke cigars. I don't like cigars, but anytime I can find that sweet tobacco note, leather type note, I just absolutely love it. This is a piece of art. D is in first for me, A in second, which was really, really nice. B in third, and D in last. I'm not sure which C and D are. I'm pretty sure that D, I'm sorry. I'm not sure which B and C are. I'm pretty sure I know what D is. If I had to guess, I'm guessing D is the Father and Son's 13-year-old. So we're going to look right now. And it is the Father and Son's 13-year-old. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Yeah, it does not stand up to these, in my opinion. I didn't think it would. I wondered if doing it in a side-by-side A-B comparison would hurt it. It does. I think if you have this on your own and just sit down with that bourbon first on a night, you're going to really love it. But if you try to put it in a blind, it's not going to hold up. All right, C, I think, is the WB Saffell. And it is. It is a WB Saffell. What's interesting about that to me is it had more nuttiness coming off of some of these other ones. A, I believe, is the Russell's store pick from A1 Liquors, and it is. And my goodness, for $60, that Russell's pick, it's pretty much unbeatable. A1 knocked it out of the park with that pick. And that means that the winner in this flight, which I'm not surprised, is the 17-year Wild Turkey Bottled in Bond. It's my favorite Wild Turkey product. It continues to be. It's just a piece of art. Some people I don't think are appreciating it enough. The fact that they were able to let this sit in a barrel, bourbon in a barrel for 17 years and not have any astringency, have the complexity that it has, have those cherry notes, clove notes, those tobacco, sweet tobacco and leather notes. It is just such a piece of art. I'm in love with it. It's one of my favorite bottles ever. But a lot of people don't like it, and I understand why. Some of those medicinal cherry notes turn people off, but way to go, Wild Turkey. All these are fantastic. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed the review. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know, what is your favorite turkey product? I'm dying to know. And if you want to join my bourbon community, feel free. In the description below is a link to our Patreon community. Anything you guys donate goes straight back to the channel for lighting and camera and audio equipment and all those things that make the channel better for you guys. I love you guys so much. I appreciate you. Hope you enjoyed the review, and cheers.